Hey everybody, today we are talking about Four Aunties and a Wedding by Jessie Q. Sutanto. Four Aunties and a Wedding is the sequel to Dial A for Aunties, which I reviewed a couple weeks ago. So if you want to watch that first and then this is book number 2 of the series. This book starts where the last one left off. Meddy is engaged to Nathan at the end of the book, and so this starts out with them getting ready to plan their wedding. Now, in the first book, we learned that her aunts and her mom are in a wedding business together. So they do the cake, the decorations, the hair and makeup, the florists, like all of those things, wedding planning. That is their job. That's what they do. And of course, they want to be guests at their niece's / daughter's wedding, and so they need to find someone else to take care of those roles so that they can enjoy seeing Meddy get married. As you know, if you've read the first one or if you watched my review of the first one, this is very chaotic in nature. The entire book is always filled with all these like unexpected surprises, and this book follows that same pattern where there's just one thing after the other that goes wrong. But the first one was an accidental murder situation. This one is a potential of a murder, which causes the chaos, where it's like a prevention of one, I guess you could say. And so the wedding is going to be in London somewhere because that's where Nathan's family's from. And so they're going to go travel there for the wedding. And it's going to be in this beautiful venue that's been there for a long time, church that has been there for a long time. So it's like very famous area. She is nervous about her aunts messing things up like usual, and because of the whole respect situation, respecting your elders, she just always feels like she can't speak her true feelings without being very offensive or bringing like dishonor to her family, or bringing shame or losing face and things like that. So there's a lot of things in here, like for example, she didn't know this, but her aunties and her ma were trying to learn British slang so that they could fit in, and they were just using the slang in not the right way and using it way too much, and they were trying to do like the accents, and it was making them sound kind of ridiculous instead of like you know, they were trying to do it to impress Meddy, but of course it's just like secondhand embarrassment for so much of this stuff, and she just wants to tell them to quit it, but she's like, how do I say it in a way that, you know, they went through all the trouble to do this to surprise me and to try to fit in with Nathan's side of the family, so how do I address this in a way that's like, no, actually don't do that, even though you paid for lessons to learn about this stuff. So it's kind of this hard situation for her, like a difficult position, because she wants things to be perfect for her wedding, but she also doesn't want to hurt her auntie's feelings. Like their outfits that they choose are very showy and very like could be considered very extra for a wedding, but it's because they research certain things that they're like, oh no, people always dress like this, we need to dress like this to fit in or whatever. And so she's just always having to make little sacrifices, or that's how they feel to her, like she has to make sacrifices in order to not upset her family because of the pressures of like losing face or being disrespectful and things like that. The wedding planner group, the people that they found to replace those, to take over for those roles, that's kind of where all the chaos in this book is from. So she finds out that her aunties and her ma have already found some people, and Meddy and Nathan were just planning to do that themselves, but she's like, fine, let's just see what they have to say, we'll hear them out, and then we can say no in a nice way if we don't like them. But it turns out that they are perfect, like they check all the boxes. The wedding photographer, which is usually Meddy's role in the family business, turns out to be someone that seems just amazing to Medi, like around the same age, has the same kind of camera, like really good high quality camera. The photos look really nice that she's showing her, and her name also is misspelled. Medi's name is supposed to be more like Maddie, but it's like misspelled to be Medi. And this girl's name is supposed to be Stephanie, but it's misspelled with an A, so it's like Staphany. So Staphany, I mean, I guess that's what she goes by because she just pronounces it how it's spelled, I assume. At first I was like, oh, we just say Stephanie, but it's just spelled weird. But now I'm thinking, well, I've always said Medi rather than like Maddie, so maybe it is just supposed to be pronounced Staphany because of the spelling and stuff. So anyway, Stephanie is the wedding photographer, and basically where all the shiz goes down is when Stephanie is on the phone call and Medi overhears some of the phone call and hears a few choice words that would make it sound like they are going to sabotage her wedding. And at first I was thinking, this is really far-fetched. It says this on the back, so this is not really a spoiler. It says that she finds out that the wedding party is a little shady because it's possible that they are mafia. And so I was just thinking, like, how common is it really nowadays to run into the family or, you know, like have a mafia like infiltrating your wedding? That seems a little far-fetched. That seems like not very believable. So as I was reading this, I was not sure how I was feeling about it. I was like, I just don't know if I can get past this whole like main plot line. Like, I just don't know if it's like doing it for me. But the more I read, the more I warmed up to the direction that the story was taking, and the more I realized why, like, the ending of this book just kind of, it ties everything nicely into itself, and like, it just kind of changed my mind, okay? So, I of course can't tell you any of that stuff without it, like, ruining the book for you, but basically, just like the first book, one thing goes wrong and then another thing goes wrong. Medi's trying to make sure that the mafia people that are supposed to be her best friend now and who she grew so close to, now she can't trust anymore. She's like, you know, trying to do all of her wedding vows and her wedding reception and get wedding photos done, and she's trying to enjoy her wedding, but at the same time she and her aunties are trying to figure out who they're going to take out at the wedding and how to stop them from getting hurt and killed potentially. And so she has this whole thing that she's having to deal with and doesn't feel like she can tell Nathan the truth, especially because she gets threatened by Stephanie to, like, do not tell anyone or we will go to the police because we know what you did in the last book. And so the whole thing that went on in the last book is brought up in this book, where it's being used basically as like blackmail. Like, you have to do what we say, you have to continue the wedding, otherwise we're going to turn you into the police, and for the crimes that you did in the last book. About halfway through I was thinking, like, because of this whole mafia plotline, that I was just like, okay, I don't know about this. It was making me think that I definitely liked the first one more, and I think I still do, but I like this one more than I thought I was going to. And so it's still a close second to the first, rather than being, you know, far down in like the ranking, because there is a third one of these and I haven't read that yet. So once I read that one, I will be able to tell you if that one is like where I would put that on my list of the favorites for this series, or trilogy, I guess. I think there's only 3. But overall, I do think that I'm enjoying this. Like, I do want to read the third one. This one was good enough to where it does make me interested in where it's going, because this one ends with a potential honeymoon trip vacation idea. And so I'm thinking, if it's anything like the first to the second, the third one's probably going to be that vacation / honeymoon trip where it's centered around for our setting. So we'll see if it does do that. And I think I was a little more frustrated with the main character in this one, in terms of how she handled certain things compared to in the first book, but also she was in a different position in the first book than she was in, I mean, she was the wedding bride in this book versus in the other book she was the photographer. And so of course that's going to change the dynamics of like how she's able to react and be in certain situations. But I do feel like bad for her because the way she did try to handle certain things made it so that she was away from her husband for a lot of her own wedding day. And so her wedding day definitely was highly impacted by overhearing this phone call, which it's like, man, I wish she just hadn't overheard this call. But had she not overheard the call, all the chaotic things in this book wouldn't have happened. So, you know, it had to happen for the book to be what it was. So if you are interested in another story with Medi-chan and her now husband Nathan and her crazy aunties and her ma and the shenanigans that they get into at the wedding of Medi's, then yeah, give this book a try, give this book a read. It's about the same length as the other ones. They're very similar in length. So, but again, I will say something that this author, since I've read, like, this is the third book of hers that I've read, she definitely knows how to keep you wanting to read more. So even though I wasn't sure about the whole mafia idea of the plot, I still, again, was like satisfied with how the ending was. And I also realized that like after each chapter, she was just really good at those cliffhangers so that you wanted to read the next chapter immediately. And so it made the last half of the book really easy to continue to read because you're just like, oh, I thought there was going to be a bigger reveal there. No, it's in the next chapter. So then you have to keep reading to get the full picture of what's going on. So it's just, it made it hard to just be like, oh, I'm just going to do one more chapter. It's like, oh, now I have to do another chapter. Now I have to do another chapter. Okay, maybe I can stop for a minute here. But yeah, so I think she does have a really good knack of keeping you on your toes and wanting to see what happens next, like immediately. But yeah, those are my thoughts on For Aunties and a Wedding. And yeah, let me know what you think if you've read it or if you're interested in reading it. Then give it a read and let me know how you think. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.